A very fresh morning to one and all present here. Myself Zainab Karti from Atmiya Green School, Jadeshwar, Bharuch. We are back with English subject for class 8. So we'll study from the new pathways course book of class 8. And we were on a revision for class 8. The lessons which are going to come, I repeat, it is unit 2, nurturing the nature, section 1 to 3, and yes, that's it. Only unit 2 is going to come in your exam, and we were on a lesson a day in the country. As we have studied half of the lesson, the story up till now, I hope you remember, it is about a small girl whose name was Pyokla, and it is about nurturing nature, how his brother, whose name was, his brother's hand was caught into a hole of a tree, and she went for the help. She asked help for his brother to Terenti. Now we also discussed the features of the Terenti, and we also discussed how they were moving ahead in the stormy wind to save her brother who put his hand into a hole. So this was the story up till now. Let us move ahead and read the further story. Let's see what has happened. Okay, but at last they go into the corn count's copse. They wash trees stirred by a gust of wind. Drop a perfect waterfall upon them. Terenti stumbles over stumps and begins to slacken his pace. So now they were moving ahead, and their legs were fixed into the thick, muddy sand, and it was very hard for them to walk as because it was raining heavily, and uh, Terenti's and Fiokla's feet were covered with lumps of heavy, wet clay. And now they went into the count's copse. The wash tree, stirred by a gust of wind, drop a perfect waterfall upon them. Terenti stumbles over stumps and begins to slacken his pace. So he used to find his pace, his speed of walking. Whereabouts is Danilka? He asked. Lead me to him. Now he's asking to this Fiokla that where is Danilka? Please lead me to him. Fiokla leads him into a thicket, and after going a quarter of a mile, points to Danilka, her brother, a little fellow of only 8, with hair as red as ochre. Ochre is an earthly pigment varying from light yellow to brown or red, and a pale, sickly face. Stands leaning against a tree, which with his head on one side looking sideways at the sky. In one hand he holds his shabby old cap, the other is hidden in an old lime tree. So it is an old lime tree in which his hand was stuck inside. The boy is gazing at the stormy sky and apparently not thinking of his trouble. Hearing footsteps and seeing the cobbler, he gives a sickly smile and says, a terrible lot of thunder. Terenti, I have never heard so much thunder in all my life. So now what happens, my dear students, that when he was facing this difficult time along, first of all he was stuck in, his hand was stuck into a tree hole, and the second problem was it was thunder. It was not a normal environment in which he could survive without the help. So now he is very much happy when he finds Terenti and Fiokla coming nearby. So he gives a sickly smile and says it is a terrible, or this is a terrible lot of thunder, and he has never faced such kind of thunder in all his life. And where is your hand? In the hole. Pull it out, please, Terenti. So what he's asking now, Terenti is asking, now where is your hand which is stuck into a hole? So he's saying, in the hole. Pull it out, please, Terenti. The wood had broken at the edge of the hole and jammed Danilka's hand. He could push it farther in, but could not pull it out. So now the wood had broken at the edge of the hole, and it jammed Danilka's hand. He could push it further inside the hole, but he cannot pull it out. Terentius snaps off the broken piece, and the boy's hand, red and crushed, is released. Okay. Now what happens? It is it's terrible. How it's thundering, the boy says again, rubbing his hand. What makes it thunder, Terenti? Now why is there so much of thunder? He's asking this to Terenti. One cloud runs against the other, answers the cobbler. Why is this thunder? Because one cloud is running against the other. Okay. The party comes out of the copse and walks along the edge of it towards the darkened road. The thunder gradually abates, and its rumbling is heard far away beyond the village. Abates means become less intense. Means it is less intensive now. So now thunder gradually abates. Now it is becoming less intensive, and its rumbling is heard far away beyond the village. The ducks flew by here the other day, Terenti, says Danilka, still rubbing his hand. They must be nesting in the Nilia Zemicha marshes. Fiokla, would you like me to show you a nightingale's nest? This was the talk going on among them. Don't touch it, you might disturb them, says Terenti. The nightingale is a singing bird without sin. He has had a voice given him in his throat to praise God and gladden the heart of man. It's a sin to disturb him. So now what happens? That little Danilka says that the ducks flew by here the other day, still rubbing his. They must be nesting in Nilia Zemicha marshes. He says that the birds are resting here. Fiokla, would you like me to show you a nightingale's nest? So, even after once he is rescued from the hole, what he asks that I'll show you nightingale's nest. But Terenti advises them not to disturb them as they sing very beautifully and they sing for God, and they are the birds who are without sin. They do not do any sin. So, in order to, yeah, it is a sin to disturb him. A bright patch of blue appears in the sky. Look, says Terenti, an ant heap burst open by the rain. They have been flooded. They bent over the ant heap. The downpour has damaged it. The insects are scurrying to and fro in the mud, agitated and busily trying to carry away their drawn companions. That won't happen to you, says Terenti, grinning. As soon as the sun warms you, you'll come to your senses again. It's a lesson to you. You won't settle on low ground another time. So now what happens? That Terenti asked them to look into a heap of ant heap, which was burst open by the rain, and they were like all trying to carry away their drowned companions. But he's saying that these won't happen to you as soon as the sun warms you, and you will have your senses again. So now it's a lesson. This is what happened to you is a lesson. It was good for you, so that it taught you a lesson, and you won't settle on low grounds another time. You won't do such activity next time. They go on. And here are some bees, cries Danilka, pointing to the branch of a young oak tree. The drenched and chilled bees are huddled together on the branch. There are so many of them that neither bark nor leaf can be seen. Now, after the ants heap, they came across the bees. Now Danilka shouted that, see, here are so many bees, and the whole pointing towards the branch of an oak tree. On that tree, there were a lot of bees. So the drenched and chilled bees are huddled together on a branch. Now they are so many in numbers that not even the bark nor leaf can be seen. Many of them are settled one on another. That's a swarm of bees, Terenti informs them. They were flying looking for a home, and when the rain came down, okay, now the drench. Okay, that swarm of bees, Terenti informs them they were flying looking for a home, and when the rain down upon them, they settled. If a swarm is flying, if a swarm is flying, you need only sprinkle water on them to make them settle. Now, if say you wanted to take the swarm, you would bend the branch with them into a sack and shake it, and they'll all fall in. Little Fiocla suddenly frowns and rubs her neck vigorously. Her brother looks at her neck and sees a big swelling on it. So, what was that swelling because of? The bee's bite. Hey, hey, laughs the cobbler. Do you know where you got that from, Fiocla, old girl? There are Spanish flies on some trees in the wood. The rain has trickled off them, and a drop has fallen on your neck. That's what has made the swelling. So because of that Spanish flies that were on some trees in the wood, the rain has tickled of them and a drop has fallen on your neck, and that is why that has made you swell. The sun appears from behind the clouds and floods the wood, the fields, and the three friends with its warm light. The dark, menacing cloud has gone far away and taken the storm with it. The air is warm and fragrant. There is a scent of bird cherry, meadowweed, and lilies of the valley. So now the thunder had stopped and the dark menacing cloud has gone away, and they had also taken the storm along with it. Now the air is warm and fragrant. There is a scent of bird cherry, meadow sweet, and lilies of the valley. That herb is given when your nose bleeds, says Terenti, pointing to a woolly looking flower. It does good. They hear They hear a whistle and a rumble, but not such a rumble as the storm clouds carries away. A good strain races by before the eyes of Tarenti, Danilka, and Fiokla. Now the good strain races by before the eyes of three of them. The engine, panting and puffing out black smoke, drags more than 20 vans after it. Its power is tremendous. The children are interested to know how an engine, not alive and without the help of horses, can move and drag such weights, and Terenti undertakes to explain it to them. It's all the steam's doing. Children, the steam the steam does the work. You see, it shows under that thing near the wheels and it works. Now, what he says that all the work is done by only steam. You see, it shows under the thing neither the wheels and it works. Near the wheels and it works. Okay, they cross the railway line and going down from the embankment. Now, embankment means a slope made of stones on earth. Walk towards the river. They walk not with any object but just at random, and they talk all the way. Danilka asks questions, Terenti answers them. So now what is going on among them is they're very much curious about the things around them. So that teaches us that when we go for a walk and when we move ahead on some journey, we are not supposed to indulge ourselves in the mobile phones and other devices, but we should question about our surroundings and we should know more about it. So here that is what these curious minds, that is Danilka and Fiokla, ask about everything around them, and Terenti answers it very nicely. Terenti answers all his questions, and there is no secret in nature which baffles him. He knows everything. Thus, for example, he knows the names of all the wildflowers, animals, and stones. He knows what herbs cure diseases. He has no difficulty in telling the age of a horse or a cow. Now, when we look upon Terenti, he doesn't look that much educated or owing such a degree, but he has gone through a lot of, he has came across, like he has noticed all the environment around him, and he has no doubt that he has all the knowledge of whatever is around him, that is about the environment. And he knows what herbs cure diseases. He knows about the age of horse and or cow, and he knows all the names of the animals, wildflowers, and stones. So that is quite a good GK. Looking at the sunset, at the moon, or the birds, he can tell what sort of weather it will be the next day. So, weather forecasting is also known by him. And indeed, it is not only Terenti who is so wise. Silentis Lech, the innkeeper, the market gardener, the shepherd, and all the villagers, generally speaking, know as much as he does. So it is just a common knowledge among all the people of the village that they knew a lot about the weather, and they knew a lot about the environment in which they are living. It is very shameful that we do not like appreciate the environment around us, and we do not have much knowledge about the nature around us, but we have a lot of knowledge regarding the devices and all the technical stuff. But we should also appreciate the nature around us, and we should know more about it, and we should show the same curiosity as we find in using mobile phones. These people have learned not from books but in the fields, in the wood, on the river bank. Now they say that they are not owing a certain kind of degree about environmental education, but they have experienced all this and gained such knowledge out of their experience. So it teaches us that out of by asking questions regarding everything around us, and by solving our questions regarding it, it will definitely cultivate knowledge in us. So they did not learn from the books, so we definitely have to learn certain things from the books. We should read books, but we should also go outside and experience the things. But as it is a pandemic time, I won't suggest you to go outside. But when this pandemic goes up, when the environment is good enough to walk outside the house, I'll request you to not to indulge yourself in your mobile phones or in any devices, but to appreciate the nature and to experience the nature around us. Their teachers have been the birds themselves. When they sang to them, the sun, when it left a glow of crimson behind it at setting, the very trees and wild herbs. Danilka looks at Terenti and greedily drinks in every word. In spring, before one is weary of the warmth and the monotonous green of the fields, when everything is fresh and full of fragrance, who would not want to hear about the golden May beetles, about the cranes, about the gurgling streams, and the corn blooming? So, they were asking questions regarding all they saw around them, and Terenti answered it very positively. The two of them, the cobbler and the boy, walk about the fields, talk unceasingly, and are not weary. They could wander about the world endlessly. They are not tired with the walk. They walk, and in their talk of the beauty of the earth, do not notice the frail little girl tripping after them. She is breathless and moves with a lagging step. Towards midday, all three sit down on the river bank. Danilka takes out of his bag a piece of bread, soaked and reduced to a mash, and they began to eat. So, we'll continue the rest of the story in our next class. So, what is the story till now? That they were okay. We'll complete this story today. Okay, so now as uh, They walk in the talk of beauty, little that frail little girl tripping after them. So this boy and the cobbler were walking and they were not tired, but about this girl, she was breathless and moves with a lagging step. So towards midday, all three of them sat on the river bank. Danilka takes out his bag piece of bread soaked and reduced to a mash, and then they all began to eat together. Terentius says a prayer when he has eaten the bread, then stretches himself on the sandy bank and falls asleep. And while he is asleep, the boy gazes at the water, pondering. He has many different things to think of. He has just seen the storms, the bees, the ants, the train. Now, before his eyes, fishes are whisking about. So this is how Terenti talks, and they are all now sleeping, and the boy gazes at the water pondering, and he's thinking of all the things which he saw throughout the day, and now he is like very curious and he's ready to ask new questions. Okay, this is all. Some are 2 inches long and more, others are no bigger than one snail. A viper with its head held high, yes, is swimming from one bank to the other. Only towards the evening our wanderers return, return to the village. The children go for the night to a deserted barn where the corn of the commune used to be kept, while Terenti, leaving them, goes to the tower. The children lie huddled together on the straw dozing. So now commune means community. Um, Now they are walking, and now they are returning to the village, and now they look like, oh, wanderers, as they are like very much, they have a strong desire to travel around the city and to know more about the nature. The boy does not sleep. He gazes into the darkness, and it seems to him that he is seeing all that he has seen in the day: the storm clouds, the bright sunshine, the birds, the fish, lanky Terenti. The number of his impressions, together with exhaustion and hunger, are too much for him. He is as hot as though he were on fire. So he was having that burning desire that he to know more about the environment, and he was very much fascinated by the environment, by whatever he saw, whether it was storm clouds, whether it was a bright sunshine. He was very much fascinated about what he saw around him, and tosses from side to side. He longs to tell someone all that is haunting him now in the darkness and agitating his soul, but there is no one to tell. Fiocla is too little and could not understand. I'll tell Terenti tomorrow, thinks the boy. The children fall asleep thinking of the cobbler, and in the night Terenti comes to them and puts bread under their heads. You can see in the picture that you can see near their head breads are there, and no one sees his love. It is seen only by the moon, which floats in the sky and peeps caressingly through the holes in the wall of the deserted barn. By Anton Chekhov. So now it was a wonderful story which teaches us that we need to nurture our environment, and we need to look around our environment, and we need to appreciate the beauty it has. And I hope you all also look around your environment. What are the changes that is going on around you? So it was your activity of your subject enrichment. So I hope to remind you that I hope you do it as early as possible. I'll send you my email, and you have to send it, that picture of the painting which you have made, on my email ID. So I'll send you that in the WhatsApp group. I hope you will learn this lesson and reread the lesson and enjoy the lesson again.